Ciao! Welcome to the YouTube channel of That Eurovision Site and That Eurovision podcast, bringing you all things Eurovision with a slice of life. My name is Isabelle, my pronouns are they, them, and joining me once again is the wonderful Janek, who uses any pronouns. We previously, last time we were here for a video, we shared our thoughts about the Sanremo 2023 established artists announcement. And if you haven't already, do give that a watch. I'll give you some context for today's topic. Today, we're here to talk about the results of last weekend's Sanremo Giovani, as well as the reveal of all the Sanremo 2023 song titles. So, on the 16th of December, at the time of recording, that's just last weekend, we heard which of the 12 contestants in Sanremo Giovani, the junior Italian song contest, were selected to progress to the newcomers section of the main Sanremo festival. The newcomer section and the big section have, this will be the second year that they're merged into one. So the 6 artists to qualify are Gianmaria, who sang La città che odi, Will, who performed Le cose più importanti, Olly, who sang L'anima balla, Colazzio, who presented Asfalto, Shari, who sang Sottovoce, Sethu, who performed Sottoterra. Of these, Gianmaria was named the winner of Sanremo Giovani, and the other 5 qualifiers were just unranked runners-up. So, bearing in mind that they will be presenting different songs for the main Sanremo contest, which is something we'll get into in the latter half of the video, did any of these artists particularly grab your attention?
I like looking at Giovanni every year because what can happen that one of these artists who qualify from Giovanni to the main festival could win. Like we saw in 2019, like Mahmoud was, I think he was the only person to do it. Like he won both of the festivals the same year, so that's a achievement from him. And there is a lot of popular Italian artists who won Giovanni, like Paola Chiara, Fabrizio Moro, Laura Passini is a Sanremo Giovanni winner. And many more we see nowadays, like Ultimo, Francesco Cabani, etc., etc. So I like to give a little watch who is in Giovanni. Like you mentioned, Gianmaria won Giovanni this year. He is being the most recognizable from all of the names because he was on X Factor last year and he features in a lot of Madame's videos. But the songs that grabbed my attention the most, before I say with the qualifiers, I want to just throw a shout out to Nor and Jules Delizia because I enjoyed their song, but it didn't qualify. So hopefully they could maybe next year come back to Giovanni. But from the qualifiers, I have to shout out Oli. I really liked L'anima balla. I thought it was a very solid song, and I enjoyed, but I think my heart was stolen by Colazzio and their song Asfalto. It's just I don't know what to think, what to say about this song. Like it's so trashy at parts, and like it's just a joyous song, and I'm really excited to see what they're bringing to the main festival. I'm hoping for the same level of chaos that Asfalto is.
Yes, I have to agree there. And thank you for for like as soon as it was over sending me the link and be like, look at what was in Giovanni. Because you definitely drew my attention to Asfalto before I had listened or watched any of the Giovanni performances. And I have to agree with you. I really enjoyed the chaos. Going through these artists, sort of these are obviously emerging artists, but going through their back catalogues as they stand now. Back catalogues is the wrong word, but going through their sort of what they've got out, right? To me, Corazio is the act that has the clearest point of view, the clearest artistic point of view, that has the most polish is a weird word to use for them because they're very joyous, very chaotic, but it's kind of they seem to know themselves in a way that I think Gian Maria has probably got that as well. I just really don't vibe with him as a performer, as a voice. So Corazio is exciting to me. I really hope that what they bring, similar to what you said, Janek, I really hope that what they show us in February is as joyous as Asfalto, and I'm really intrigued to see like what they'll do. To me, a lot of the rest of the selection, really the whole of the rest of the selection, felt very young. I mean, particularly young and particularly immature, I think, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with being young. And you know, there's nothing wrong with having an immature voice as well. Like, it's to be expected if you're just finding your feet as an artist, finding your voice. It's also to be expected if you are literally young in age, because you're responding to the world in a different way to an artist who has maybe been around for a bit longer. A lot of the songs, kind of, whether they were upbeat and immature or sort of frustrated, kind of, I mean, I think La Città che Odi has a really specific point of view, which I imagine a lot of people can relate to. I think if you'd given it to me to listen to 20 years ago, I might have related to it more. I'm 38. It's been 20 years since I was a teenager, and it felt to me like a lot of these artists, their songs just felt kind of like the sort of music I might have listened to when I was, you know, in my frustrated teenage years. You know, there's like a little part of that in me still, but I think that just in terms of the actual sound, and the maturity of sound, really everything else feels very far from what I'm interested in. Let's put it that way. Gian Maria is a very confident performer. There's no doubting that, right? One of the most confident performers of this lot. But I really can't stand his performance style. So it'll be interesting to see whether I change my mind. I might change my mind come February, you know. And you know, obviously what he does resonates with a lot of people. I just can't relate. So speaking of, you know, being a grown-up, moving on to talk about the grown-ups again. The other big announcement that was made on the 16th was the titles of each of the 28 songs that we'll be seeing competing at Sanremo 2023. So this includes both the established artists that were previously announced without song titles, and also the 6 qualifiers from Sanremo Giovani who are presenting different songs for the main competition. So the song titles are, I'll just read them out, along with my own no doubt very poor Italian to English translations, just in case anybody listening to this or watching this hasn't heard these song titles before and doesn't speak Italian. I am not an Italian speaker. I have 11 months on Duolingo, which I'm very proud of, actually, but this is definitely testing me. So forgive me if any of these are like slight mistranslations. If you are an Italian, first language Italian speaker, and I've got any of these wrong, then please do sound off in the comments and let us know. Yeah. So we know that Anna Oxa is singing Sali, Canto dell'Anima, which translates as Salts, Song of the Soul. Ariete is singing Mare di Guai, Sea of Troubles. Articolo 31 will sing Un bel viaggio, which loosely translates as a good trip or a wonderful trip. Colapesce di Martino will present Splash, which I think just means splash. Colazio song will be Non mi va, which I translate as it doesn't suit me. Like, you know, I'm not having it. I don't fancy it, that vibe. Coma Cose will present L'addio, the farewell. Elodie, Due, 2. Gianluca Grignani's song is Quando ti manca il fiato, when you're out of breath. Gian Maria's song is Mostro, Monster. Giorgia will present Parole dette male, badly spoken words. I cugini di Campagna are performing Lettera 22, Letter 22. Lazza will present Cenere, Ash. LDA will present Se poi domani, If Then Tomorrow. Leo Gassman's song is Terzo Cuore, Third Heart. Levante's song is Vivo, I Live. Moda will sing Lasciami, Leave Me. Madame's song is Il bene nel male, The Good and the Bad. Mara Satei's song is 2000 minuti, 2000 minutes. Marco Mengoni will sing Due Vite, Two Lives. Mr. Rain will present Supereroi, Superheroes. Ollie's song is Polvere, Dust. Paola e Chiara will sing Furore, Fury. Rosa Chemical song is Made in Italy, which, Made in Italy. Sethu's song is Cause Perse, Lost Causes. Shari is singing Egoista, Selfish. Tananai's song is Tango, which is just tango. Ultimo will present Alba, which is dawn or sunrise. And Will is singing Stupido, stupid. So we've heard a little from some of the artists about their songs, and others have been a little more evasive. So we can only speculate, really, about what they are going to sound like come February. But do any of the song titles pique your interest?
As I said, most of them, like the song titles itself, don't give me anything. Like the only ones that are like Tango. When I read that nice song called Tango, I was like, oh, like, this will be a moment to remember. But maybe when the artists themselves talked a bit more about what the entry is about, like the image of the songs kind of appeared. Like I can see Elodie and Marcos making ballad from this description, but also it could be a hyper song, like especially Elodie. I think and Marcos they could tackle topics like that with hyper song. But I'm thinking maybe more ballady pick a bit in her song, singing about love that the what lover is sexual and the one who she loves and wants her not because of love but of different reasons, and that's just an really interesting topic to see about. Now Madame is a very different singer than others because she tackles topics like that, and we know she had to change her song title because of reasons, because her song was called Putana in before she had to change it. And the other song that I'm very curious about is Levante's song because she tackles the Levante has given birth lately, so the song will be like a message to her, like she's trying to find herself again, like finding love for herself after what she went through during pregnancy and during birth, and that's also a topic that not a lot of people think about. So that's something that to look out. But we most of them we don't, most of the songs we don't know exactly what we will see. Like as I said, the description could be the most ballady description you could ever see, but we will be seeing a dance pop number in February. I'm really excited for Paula Chiara because this Fury is making me think of them going back to the original sounds, and I'm hoping because I have recently knew that they were very big in Poland, and one of the popular songs is one of my favorite songs of all the time. So I'm like, please, please give me it right now. So I'm very intrigued by them. If they are going to sing about it, I'm going to scream.
Right, because the way that they describe it, it really sounds like it's going to be like a lot, you know, like Fury is such a kind of that's a really strong title, and it's sort of, you know, it sounds like there's going to be a lot about like their relationship in there, and also to each other, I mean, and also like just, you know, getting like coming back to music. If it's a ballad, if it's like a heartfelt ballad, I'm gonna scream too. I'll be really I'll feel really shortchanged, but I have high hopes for that based on what they've said about it and based on the song title. I'm glad you mentioned Levante actually, because yes, that thing of we see people dedicating songs to their like children, right, all the time. That usually resonates with a lot of people, but it usually doesn't resonate with me.
Evita by
And
Salila in Fic.
yeah, I'm not mentioning fic very deliberately here, but it's it can be a little alienating for those of us who like don't choose conventional relationships, conventional families, you know, things like that, to kind of constantly have like heteronormativity and like familial love of like a very kind of conventional kind sort of pushed. And I understand it's something a lot of people do relate to, and it's obviously when people write about it, it comes from a personal place, so fair enough. But I love that the way that she describes it is, like you said, it's her desire to get back into her own body, into her own life, her desire to find essentially like a lust for life again herself, having given, you know, it really does frame it as like she's been through a trauma, you know, giving birth is a trauma. And so it's like kind of a reclamation moment. I love that. I think that's incredibly important and powerful. So I can't wait. And you know, we said in the last video we're both so excited about Levante being in this lineup anyway, so the fact that it's Levante doing this as well, I'm sure it's going to be really interesting and have a really fabulous point of view. So yeah, I'm excited about that too. I'm nervous about Madame, if I'm completely honest, purely because Rosie did a really fantastic editorial piece about sex work themed songs in Eurovision. If you haven't read it, I really recommend it. It is so good. I can't remember the name of the piece off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure if you search sex work on our site, I'm pretty sure that it'll come up under Rosie's byline. We haven't written that much about sex work, do you know what I mean? But Rosie, you know, Rosie wrote a fantastic editorial piece about there aren't that many.
It's called Nessuno mi più giudicare, the small
Oh,
democratic
fantastic. I
world of
wondered if
sex
it
work
was,
and
yeah, okay.
Eurovision.
So she,
It's
okay,
a
she,
it's a maybe it's a stripper line. Okay, it's a line from stripper.
yeah. So yes, okay, thank you. I thought that I couldn't remember if she'd used that in the end or not. Yes, so yes, the title of Rosie's editorial is that line from the Achille Lauro song Stripper, which I believe was the kind of impetus for her to write the piece, because that's the most recent sex work themed song we've had in Eurovision. Persona mi può aggiudicare. So there's only been a clutch of sex worker themed songs in Eurovision, but yeah, Rosie has some really interesting things to say about it. It often doesn't go well because often it's coming from an outsider point of view. In fact, I think in almost all cases, if not all cases, it's coming from an outsider point of view. I don't know about Madame's background. It's possible that she's not coming at it from an outsider point of view, but the way that her talking about the song was worded made me a bit nervous because it did make it sound a little bit like it might be coming from an outsider perspective, and it might be just that phrase, finding the good in what's typically considered bad. I don't know, that makes me anxious, because there's nothing wrong with being a sex worker. There's nothing there's nothing, sex workers work. There's nothing there's nothing that should be, I don't know. I'm just a little nervous. I'm like, is this going to be some toxic positivity empowerment bullshit? Now, from Madame, I wouldn't expect that. So I am, I'm just apprehensive, and will have to wait to see whether or not it's a bit of a disaster or actually really wonderful or something in between. But I think I don't share your kind of your optimism about it. I'm a little bit more nervous than you are. Splash stood out. I said before that Colapesce and Di Martino are currently my favorite artists on this lineup, and I heard that and I was like, oh, I feel that this is gonna be Mimi. This is gonna be like, I feel like this is gonna be a moment. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see what that's gonna be like, or whether it's gonna be as playful. I'm sure it's gonna be as playful as all their other stuff is. Anna Oxa's song gives me, and I could be completely wrong, but it really gives me drama. Like, I'm feeling like a kind
Am
of
I
like
the drama?
a big, yeah, I'm feeling a big emotional, like, I'm feeling a moment will be treated to a moment there. Song of the Soul. Come on. I hope it's so. My question with that is it going to be like big, powerful, emotional ballad drama, or is it going to be like experimental drama? And I really hope it's because that title, it could be experimental, and I hope it is experimental because I love a bit of experimental drama. I other than that, I quite like that Cugini di Campania. They explain that they just crack me up. They explain to me that they're the band that kind of jokingly claimed that that Måneskin had stolen their style, right? Which I love. Like, I mean, they're not wrong in a way, right? Måneskin totally like takes inspiration from 70s classic rock style. These are 70s classic rockers. It's just like they're obviously not like the pin-up beauties that the Måneskin kids are. Okay, so but I quite like their spirit. So lettera 22, letter 22, they claim that it's a letter that doesn't exist. Like, I'm not good at numbers, but I'm pretty sure that V is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. So they're like, it's a letter that doesn't exist in our alphabet. What do you mean by that? Sure that there is a 22nd letter. So I'm just like, okay, what is your alphabet? Yeah, they just fascinate me. What goofballs. So I other than that, Mr. Rain's song. So Mr. Rain wasn't particularly on my radar, but apparently his song is about depression, and it's about his own struggles with depression. I appreciate that. I'm a person who has struggled with chronic depression since my teens, which, as we already established, was 20 years ago. So it's been a while. So I love to see a man talking about mental health. I love that. I mean, we don't know if it's going to be, we don't know what genre it's going to be or what style of delivery. Mr. Rain is one of the many people on this list who has rap as one of their song styles. So will it be sung or will it be rapped? Who knows? Will it be uplifting or will it be like a kind of a downbeat ballad? Who knows? supereroi, superheroes makes it sound like there might be an uplifting element to it. But either way, the way he said it is that it's an autobiographical song and it deals with depression. So I love that. And I look forward to seeing how that's going to translate in February. By far the ones that are most intriguing to me, though, are Tananais and Rosa Chemicals, though, right? They feel like a little duo. Like, as we said in the last video, Rosa Chemical guested with Tananai for Covers Night, gave an incredibly memorable performance last year. And so Tananai singing a song called Tango immediately makes me happy because, come on, that cannot be a ballad. There's no way that that's a ballad. So I'm expecting a disastrous, like trashy, glorious mess of a song. I can't wait. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be like messy and sexy, which is exactly what he brought last year. I am also intrigued by Rosa Chemical's Made in Italy. I mean, the first minute I saw that title, I was like, brilliant. In fact, didn't I literally like I like like tagged Janek. I was like, disaster bopping coming. This is gonna be a trash fire. I can't wait. But then seeing what Rosa Chemical has to say about the song, I'm even more delighted. Okay. So Rosa Chemical's song talks about freedom, sex, love, and being Italian. I'm getting Achille Lauro energy. I'm getting Damiano David energy. I'm here for it. I love her. I love a garbage, sexy Italian. Yeah, that's it. That's the tweet.
Just to mention that Damiano David wrote one of the songs for Sanremo.
Mara Satei
will be
song.
performing the song by him.
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm expecting a disaster. Not a disaster. I'm expecting a banger from her as well. So I just forgot to mention her.
And I think that people seem to have forgotten that Damiano David is a really good lyricist. Not in English so much, listen, he's getting his life and I support it. Okay, like I can't remember where it was, but I think it was in a YouTube comment somewhere. I saw someone say something like Måneskin songs in Italian, poetry, emotion, rage, beauty, poignancy. Måneskin songs in English. Do you want to dance, babe? Yes, exactly. So I think we've forgotten because so many of their recent songs have been in English. Not the most recent one. We're back to some poetic rage in Italian from Måneskin now, so love to see that. But yeah, this is obviously going to be a song in Italian. 2000 minuti. It could be anything. It could be really like that could be the most like poppy banger. It could be trashy. It could be heartfelt. I think it's probably going to be heartfelt. Damiano, when he writes in Italian, it's usually, even when it's like a kind of a funky poppy banger, it's usually poetic, right? He just can't help himself. He's a poetic lyricist. So in Italian. So I actually have high hopes for Mara Satei's song. I also know that I'm going to accidentally call it 200.000 ore. Anna Mina already upped the stakes with 200,000 hours, and now we have 2,000 minutes. 2,000 minutes is very little compared to Anna Mina's 200,000 hours, quite frankly.
Mara Satei has to step up.
Sorry?
Mara Satei has to step up.
Yeah, come on.
Only 200?
Just 2,000 minutes. Only 2,000 minutes. I do like it when songs seem to kind of hark back to. I'm sure it's not a reference, but it's fun making those connections anyway, isn't it? So much of my Italian has come from Måneskin lyrics as well. that like I can't help but like read words like polvere and think of a Måneskin song, with that Lasciami stare sort of talks about, brushing the dust off your clothing. So anyway, I like was reading through this I'm like singing little Måneskin songs in my head. I'm such a dork. So an exciting, well, a small change, but a potentially impactful change to the rules was also announced by Amadeus when he announced all of this business. So for the fourth night of Sanremo, which is the covers night, contestants will now be able to choose to cover any song released between the 1st of January 1960 and the 31st of December 2009. So we've added the naughties to the possibilities. An act can choose to perform a song from their own back catalogue, provided it fits the release date criteria. The condition to that is that they have to do so in a duet with a guest artist. So I think what that means is, for example, that Paola and Chiara can sing a medley of their hits, but they would have to invite somebody else to do it with them. They can't just do it on their own. So I may have let the cat out of the bag there. But what do you think of this amendment?
The best decision that Amadeus has brought Sanremo. As I said, I just want to hear Paola Chiara do a medley of the song. Like they have a song called Festival. This is the Sanremo Festival. Like it has to happen. It has to happen. I'm excited to hear, because we know that the 2000s are trashy at times. So I'm like, who will bring the trashiest song possible? Like I was joking with my friend. I'm mentioning her again, but I was mentioning her. Okay, so we have the 2000s, and do you think Taranaya will sing Dragostea Dintei on covers? And I was like, no, I have to see it. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what choices the artists will bring, because for most of the times, most of them, this is the years that they grew up in, like the 2000s. So I'm like, they are known in that time of music, like what was popular. So maybe some of them can like bring songs that from the childhood, like from the teenagers years. So I'm trying to think for the more mainstream song. Probably more Britney could appear. Um I feel when I'm trying to think of this period of time, but I can think of time that doesn't exist for me, because you, I listen to a lot of songs now that I realize, oh wait, this song was released in the 90s. Like I didn't know that. I thought it was like 2000s. So I can't like point for what it was, because I grew up in the thousands, in the tens. So I'm like, it's a mix for me. So I'm like,
Yeah.
uh, and a lot of songs that are like popular in here, or like from all over Europe. So I'm like, as I said, Dragostea Lite, Paola Chiara, like Let's Catch Up. And I just imagined someone singing a Srehe on Sanremo, and I'm like,
There are so many possibilities,
there
and
are
I'm
so many
I'm
possibilities.
like you. I sort of, the noughties and the 90s blur a little. The late 90s and the early noughties particularly blur a little bit. I was at school in the late 90s and the early noughties, whereas you
I didn't exist.
did not. You
Age. We are recording on 23rd. I turn 23 next week, so there is a bit of difference between
Yes,
us.
of course. Yes. By the time this comes out, you will be 23. Grand old age of 23. That's an exciting time. Oh, what an exciting time to be 23. So yeah, like I imagine a lot of these kids. I literally was like, yeah, they're kids. They're babies. A lot of these kids coming up will have similar references to growing up in Europe in the noughties. So and the tens. So That's exciting. For a lot of these people, it will be more of like a nostalgia trip in a way. Listen, didn't I say last episode that I was ready for the noughties music revival, and then look what Amadeus just like. It's like he heard my possibly ill-judged wish, because as soon as I said that, I was like, am I though? Actually, am I? Like, listen, yeah. There's I'm looking forward to the trash. I really hope that we get like a trashy upbeat. I think we're seeing that people want stuff that's a bit more playful, that want stuff that's a bit more kind of just garbagey in that 2000s way, than maybe we did, or maybe we like told ourselves that we did before. I think we want a party basically. So yeah, I'm excited for the potential. I'm really pleased that they've extended this. It just kind of, yeah, gives more choices. Gives people the option to push closer to the modern age, than going way back in time, which I just like. I enjoy that. My friend Fafi pointed out that there are no uncles in this lineup. We had some like uncles last year, some some Sanremo uncles, didn't we? Some real. Although Gianni Morandi is coming back. He is, I believe, he's like co-hosting with Amadeus at
One of
least
the nights, yeah.
one of the nights. Yeah. So can't wait. I think that's going to be iconic. But there are no uncles in this lineup. It's because actually there are just lots of sort of I think there are lots of dads instead. Sorry, this is like, I don't mean literal uncles or literal dads. I'm sort of using categories that make sense to me. But like there's some like, classic rock dads. There are some kind of basically all the bands, a lot of a bunch of these bands and duos are like had their heyday back in like the 70s or the 80s. So yeah, so I think that it's going to be a slightly different vibe. We've got a sprinkling of dads instead of classic rock dads, embarrassing but like charming dads instead of like older uncles. So what will they cover? Can't wait to see. It's yeah, I'm delighted by the change. I think it's going to be, I think
I'm
it
just
bodes well for a fun time.
yeah. I just realized if Amadeus led iPhone 65 to the lineup, he would have a Blood Money cover night. And I don't know
Oh my
if he was
god,
a blessing.
yes, we could have had so much. You know what would be iconic if like other acts on this list covered Paula and Chiara songs? That would be iconic. Okay, I just can't wait. I think it's going to be a blast. And if it turns out actually that like 3/4 of these songs are ballads, I'm going to throw shit. So on that note,
You're going to manifest
it,
in Sanremo and on the local news.
yeah, if the next time you see me is on the news, things have gone pear-shaped. I think that about wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you, Janek, for joining me once again to talk about Sanremo. I feel we're going to be talking about Sanremo much more and for many hours for the next few months. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for interviews and lively discussion of all things Eurovision. You can keep up with our latest podcast episodes by following @thatEuroPodcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And be sure to follow @thatEuroSite on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok for Eurovision-related news, features, and more. And with that, we will wish you a very peaceful, restful, joyous rest of the year. And see you in the new year, I guess. Ciao.
Ciao.